From this day forward, it's going to be only America first. America first.
But how did it get there? The rise of the American economy isn't just a story of success. It's a story of struggle, exploitation, and reinvention. From cotton plantations to crypto crashes, what happened along the way changed not just a nation, but the entire world. From a cluster of struggling colonies to the world's largest economy, the story of the United States is one of extraordinary transformation, driven by ambition, innovation, and sometimes exploitation. The history of the American economy isn't just a tale of money and markets. It's a mirror of the country's identity, values, and conflicts. In the early 1600s, the economy of colonial America was built on three core pillars: land, labor, and risk. The vast land available across the East Coast allowed for extensive farming, while the economic engine was powered by a mix of indentured servants, enslaved Africans, and settlers hoping to profit from transatlantic trade. In the North, shipbuilding, fishing, and small-scale manufacturing formed the base of local economies. Meanwhile, the South became reliant on large plantations producing cash crops like tobacco, cotton, and sugar, fueled almost entirely by slave labor. After gaining independence in 1776, the newly formed United States embraced a bold economic experiment: free market capitalism. Heavily influenced by Enlightenment thinkers like Adam Smith, the country pursued a system that minimized government interference and prioritized private property, competition, and entrepreneurial risk-taking. This was the foundation upon which the American dream was built, the belief that through hard work and innovation, anyone could succeed. The early 19th century saw the country expand rapidly westward, encouraged by policies like the Louisiana Purchase and the ideology of manifest destiny. As settlers moved west, new markets, natural resources, and infrastructure projects followed. Roads, canals, and eventually railroads began connecting distant parts of the country, creating the first truly national economy. Then came the Industrial Revolution. By the mid-1800s, America transitioned from a largely agrarian society to an industrial powerhouse. Steam engines, mechanized textiles, coal mining, and eventually oil drilling changed the economic landscape. Railroads revolutionized transport and commerce, connecting producers to national and international markets like never before. Steel magnates like Andrew Carnegie, oil tycoons like John D. Rockefeller, and shipping barons like Cornelius Vanderbilt built empires. Some called them captains of industry, others called them robber barons. Either way, they reshaped the American economy through monopolies, vertical integration, and aggressive business tactics. But this explosive growth came with a cost. Cities grew rapidly, often without regulation, leading to poor housing conditions and unsafe working environments. Immigrants from Europe flooded into urban centers, providing cheap labor for factories, but also facing discrimination and exploitation. Child labor, 16-hour workdays, and dangerous machinery were the norm. In response, the late 19th and early 20th centuries saw the rise of organized labor movements, demanding fair wages, shorter hours, and safer conditions. Strikes and protests became increasingly common, leading to the eventual establishment of labor laws and unions. The economy soared in the 1920s, an era known as the Roaring Twenties, marked by mass production, booming stock markets, and a consumer revolution. Radios, cars, and household appliances became widely available. But this prosperity was built on shaky ground. Unregulated banking practices, speculative investments, and growing income inequality created a fragile system. Then, in 1929, the stock market crashed. Within weeks, billions of dollars vanished. Banks failed, businesses shuttered. Unemployment soared to over 25%. The Great Depression had arrived, the most devastating economic crisis in U.S. history. It wasn't just a financial collapse, it was a human one. Families lost their homes. Farmers were driven off their land by drought and debt. Soup kitchens and bread lines stretched for blocks. In response, President Franklin D. Roosevelt launched the New Deal, a sweeping set of federal programs designed to revive the economy and protect vulnerable Americans. The government introduced Social Security, regulated banks through the Glass-Steagall Act, and launched massive public works projects that employed millions. These policies didn't end the Depression overnight, but they fundamentally changed the relationship between government and the economy, establishing the idea that federal intervention could be a stabilizing force in times of crisis. World War II brought an abrupt end to the Depression. America's entry into the war transformed its economy into a wartime production juggernaut. Factories that once made cars or refrigerators were repurposed to build tanks, planes, and ammunition. Unemployment disappeared virtually overnight, and the workforce diversified as women and minorities stepped into roles left vacant by soldiers. By the war's end, the US had not only defeated global fascism, but emerged as the most powerful industrial nation on Earth. The post-war era ushered in a golden age of economic growth. Between 1945 and 1973, the US economy expanded at an average rate of nearly 4% per year. With Europe and Japan devastated by war, American exports dominated global markets. The GI Bill gave returning veterans access to education, housing, and jobs, leading to a booming middle class. Suburban neighborhoods sprouted across the country. Consumerism became central to American life. Televisions, washing machines, and automobiles were no longer luxuries, but expectations. The dollar became the world's reserve currency under the Bretton Woods system, solidifying US financial dominance. However, the prosperity of the post-war era was not evenly distributed. Racial segregation and discriminatory policies denied many Black Americans and other minorities access to housing, education, and employment opportunities. Despite this, the economy continued to grow, lifting millions into the middle class, at least temporarily. In the 1970s, the American economy entered a period of turmoil. For the first time in modern history, the country faced stagflation, a toxic mix of stagnant growth and soaring inflation. Oil embargoes from OPEC sent energy prices skyrocketing. Factories in the Rust Belt began to close as companies sought cheaper labor overseas. Deindustrialization hit hard, and entire communities were left behind. The 1980s saw a dramatic ideological shift under President Ronald Reagan. His administration championed deregulation, tax cuts for the wealthy, and a belief in trickle-down economics. The idea that benefits for the rich would eventually help everyone. Wall Street flourished, consumer spending soared, and the economy recovered. But so did inequality. Wealth became increasingly concentrated among the top 1%. Job security eroded, and unions weakened under political pressure and corporate pushback. Despite booms in the 1990s tech sector, the economy remained vulnerable. The dot-com bubble burst in the early 2000s, wiping out billions in investments. Then came 2008. The financial crisis of 2008 was sparked by reckless lending practices, subprime mortgages, and the collapse of major financial institutions. Housing prices plummeted. Millions lost their jobs, their homes, and their retirement savings. It was the worst economic crisis since the Great Depression. The US government responded with massive bailouts for banks and auto manufacturers, as well as stimulus packages designed to jumpstart growth. Critics argued that Wall Street was rewarded while Main Street suffered. Trust in capitalism was shaken. In the years that followed, the economy slowly recovered, but left many behind. Student debt ballooned, wages stagnated, and the gig economy began replacing traditional full-time jobs with short-term insecure work. Then in 2020, the world changed again. The COVID-19 pandemic triggered a sudden and unprecedented economic shutdown. Restaurants closed, travel stopped, more than 20 million jobs vanished in a matter of weeks. The US government responded with massive relief packages, stimulus checks, expanded unemployment benefits, and emergency loans for small businesses. At the same time, the digital economy surged. Tech giants like Amazon, Zoom, and Google saw record profits. Remote work became the norm, and a new class of online millionaires emerged, from crypto traders to social media influencers. Today, the American economy faces a crossroads. It remains the largest economy in the world by GDP, but it also grapples with mounting challenges: income inequality, inflation, political polarization, rising debt, and the disruptive force of artificial intelligence. At the same time, opportunities for innovation and growth have never been greater. From plantations to platforms, railroads to robotics, the story of the American economy is one of constant reinvention. Each crisis, each boom, each breakthrough has reshaped the nation and the world. Where it goes next may define the global future for generations to come. This is History 101.